Good evening, and welcome to the 2021 ASALH Awards program. Every year, ASALH honors individuals who have made major contributions to furthering the mission of Dr. Carter G. Woodson. They include community leaders, activist scholars, educators, and cultural icons, among others. The awards are given in 6 categories: Freedom Scholar, Council Award of Special Recognition, the Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award, the Living Legacy Award, the Woodson Scholars Medallion, and the Luminary Award, which this year is being given to a national figure. Our past awardees have distinguished themselves in their commitment to excellence in their fields and in their devotion to preserving and disseminating knowledge of the history and culture of people of African descent. We are quite fortunate this year to have had a particularly strong candidate pool for each of these awards. In consideration of the many deserving candidates who were nominated, and since we did not have the opportunity last year to offer any awards, the awards committee decided, with the concurrence of the executive committee, to select multiple awardees in each of the 6 categories. We are pleased to recognize this year's recipients, and we invite you to spend the next hour with us as we honor them. Leading off our program this evening is our national president, Dr. Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham. This is Dr. Higginbotham's last awards program as national president, and the awards committee would like to take this opportunity to thank her for her support of our work over the last several months. She will bring greetings to us and congratulatory remarks to our National Luminary Award recipient.
Good evening. I am Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham, the National President of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, and it is my great honor to bring greetings to you at the opening of our awards ceremony. On Saturday, September 25th, I had the privilege of bestowing ASALH's inaugural Luminary Award on Henry Louis Gates Jr. in a wonderful plenary that focused on his illustrious career in promoting African American history and culture, and especially his decades-long focus on the Black family, the ASALH theme for 2021. Through his books and articles, his leadership of the Hutchins Center for African and African American Research at Harvard University, and for his many television documentaries, and particularly his PBS series, Finding Your Roots. This evening, ASALH continues its venerable tradition of honoring the accomplishments of the great scholars among us, and paying special tribute to those whose leadership and acts of service have taken ASALH to ever higher heights. We are proud of the recipients of our awards because those awards themselves speak to our history as an organization and to the cherished legacy left to us by those who went before us. I want to thank Edna Green Medford, the chair of the awards committee, and the members of her committee for your work in making the events of this evening possible. And I extend my warmest congratulations to each of our awardees.
Thank you, Dr. Higginbotham. Before we continue with our other ASALH awards, we are pleased to serve as the venue for our partners to recognize groups and individuals who have made the work of ASALH possible. I am delighted to introduce Superintendent Tara Morrison of the National Park Service's Capitol Parks East. She will present a special award to the Carter G. Woodson House Committee, a dedicated group that has collaborated with the Park Service for several years to preserve and interpret this important historic site.
Hello, my name is Tara Morrison, and I am the Superintendent of National Capitol Parks East, which includes the Carter G. Woodson Home National Historic Site. The George and Helen Hartzog Awards for Outstanding Volunteer Service commend exemplary contributions National Park Service volunteers make to their park and community. The 2020 National Capital Area Hartzog Volunteer Group Award was presented to the Woodson Home Committee of ASALH. Through our established partnership, the Woodson Committee serves a crucial role in the development of permanent exhibits for the Carter G. Woodson Home National Historic Site. Woodson Committee volunteers serve the park in developing accurate content and themes for exhibits, facilitating the donation of artifacts and photographs, and creating a docent program for the site. A special thanks to Woodson Home Committee co-chairs Dr. Betty Gardner and Mrs. Barbara Dunn. They, along with Dr. Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham, have volunteered countless hours in support of the National Park Service mission and directly impacting the visitor experience at the Carter G. Woodson Home National Historic Site. Congratulations to the Woodson Home Committee. We are grateful for your service and know that we will continue to educate the public about Dr. Carter G. Woodson and his legacy.
Thank you, Superintendent Morrison. Every ASALH member knows that the organization that Dr. Woodson began and nurtured could not exist without the dedication and hard work of its branches. They are truly the backbone of the organization, furthering Dr. Woodson's mission at the local level and reminding us all of what it means to be a member of the association we love. Here to announce the Branch of the Year Award is Ms. Barbara Spencer Dunn, our Vice President for Membership.
Hello, I am Barbara Spencer Dunn, Vice President for Membership for the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, now known as ASALH. Branches of ASALH was our founder, Dr. Carter Godwin Woodson's idea. Dr. Woodson early on recognized the value of immersing the entire community with a body of knowledge that disseminated the truth about our rich and global history. This year's winner of the Outstanding Branch Programming Award is the Martha's Vineyard Branch of ASALH. In a virtual space, the branch reached hundreds. The innovative programming and partnerships not only secured in-kind contributions and service from partners, but also engaged a local school in an oral history project where the youth are interviewing the elders of the branch in development of a documentary reaching an intergenerational audience with innovative programming. Productivity in the midst of the pandemic. This branch found multiple ways to engage the Martha's Vineyard community. 2020 brought about the recruitment of family members, and the branch increased the engagement of family in the work of ASALH. The legacy being built on the vineyard by this branch of ASALH is phenomenal. We are excited to present this year's Outstanding Branch Programming Award to the Martha's Vineyard Branch of ASALH.
I am Thelma Hart Johnson, President of the Martha's Vineyard Branch. We are delighted to receive this 2020 award for Outstanding Branch Programming. Our membership is small and dedicated to fulfilling ASALH's mission set forth by our illustrious founder, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Our charter president was Robert Hayden, and he served as our branch president for 12 years, and he built the foundation on which our branch stands. We continue to expand Martha's Vineyard branch outreach by collaborating with Martha's Vineyard organizations, our institutional members of the Oak Bluff Public Library, Martha's Vineyard Museum, and the NAACP. We thank you again so much for this Outstanding Branch Programming Award. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. As a member of the Howard University community and a scholar, I am reminded daily of the many contributions Dorothy Porter Wesley made to preserving the rich resources that chronicle our history. Here to present the award to someone who exemplifies the devotion of Dorothy Porter Wesley is Dr. Lopez Matthews, who is himself a crucial figure in the ASALH community.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lopez Matthews Jr., and I am the chair of the ASALH Information Professionals Group. I'm excited to be with you today to present the Dorothy Porter Wesley Award. The Dorothy Porter Wesley Award was established in 2018 by the information professionals of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History to honor and document the outstanding work of information professionals, bibliophiles, librarians, archivists, curators, and collectors. The award is named for legendary librarian Dorothy Porter Wesley. I am excited to share this year's winner, Dr. Janet Sims Wood. Dr. Janet Sims Wood is the retired Assistant Chief Librarian for Reference and Reader Services at the Moreland Spingarn Research Center at Howard University. She has taught Black women's history courses at the University of Maryland. She has served as a children's librarian with the DC Public Library System and has worked at the Prince George's Community College Library as an associate professor, adjunct faculty librarian. Dr. Sims Wood has been an amazing champion, friend, mentor, and resource for young librarians, archivists, and scholars, including myself, when I was a student at Moreland Spingarn Research Center. So I'm extremely excited to present this award to her. Congratulations, Dr. Sims Wood.
Okay, I would like to thank you for giving me this award, the Dorothy Porter Wesley Award, which is to my heart because I love Dorothy Porter Wesley. And she was the epitome of being a Black librarian, and we all emulated her. So thank you so very much, and I appreciate the committee, and I, of course, love ASALH. I've been a member for over 45 years. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Now on to the rest of the ASALH Awards. One of the most recent of our 6 awards is the Freedom Scholars Award, and it is both a celebration of the scholarship and activism of those who are making contributions to Dr. Woodson's mission early in their careers. And it is also meant as an encouragement to continue the stellar work that we know will have an impact on our communities. Ms. Kamisha Scruggs, our vice chair of the awards committee and an emerging scholar herself, will present the award to this year's worthy recipients.
I'm Kamisha Scruggs, ASALH Executive Council member, class of 2022, and Vice Chair of the Awards Committee. The Freedom Scholar Award seeks to empower and inspire African American communities locally and nationally. Since its inception in 2019, its purpose has been to honor early career scholars through their work within their discipline and their field that have had a direct and positive impact in the lives of African Americans, and tonight's recipients have met and exceeded that prerequisite. Here are the 2021 Freedom Scholar Award recipients. Dr. Christopher J. Bonner is a historian who specializes in 19th century United States and African American history. In March of 2020, he published his first book, which has been highly acclaimed and award-winning, and the title of the book is Remaking the Republic, Black Politics, and the Creation of American Citizenship. He teaches courses covering these particular subjects of slavery and emancipation in the Atlantic world. Not only that, he has published in various places. In addition to that, he has been a featured historian for the CNN 6-part series, Lincoln Divided We Stand. Dr. Christopher J. Bonner, 2021 Freedom Scholar Award recipient.
Hey folks, I hope you're all doing all right. I want to say thank you so much for this award. I'd like to express my really sincere gratitude to the award committee, and I want to share congratulations with all of the award recipients for this year. It's great to be associated with all of you. This is also such a great honor because it allows me to feel like to have my name associated with this organization, because ASALH has done so much for so long to advance the field of Black history and the interests of Black scholars who are doing this work. I hope that I can continue to live up to the great name of this organization, and particularly that I can play some small part in continuing the work that ASALH does, this mission to make Black history meaningful for Black lives. So thank you.
Dr. Khalido Hakeem is the founder and curator of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum. With this museum, he's collected over 10,000 items dating from the transatlantic slave trade to hip-hop. He's been considered the Schomburg of the hip-hop generation because of his passion and commitment to continue the Black Museum movement. Not only that, he has received awards and designations because he has presented Black history in these non-traditional ways and in non-traditional spaces. So much so that he was named one of the 100 Men of Distinction by Black Enterprise magazine. This particular exhibit reached its 41st state this year and was featured in Burlington, Vermont, in commemoration of the Juneteenth national holiday. Dr. Khalido Hakeem.
Good evening. I would like to thank ASALH for honoring me this year with the 2021 Freedom Scholar Award. After collecting for over 30 years, people often ask me what is my most favorite or most significant artifact. And without a doubt, there's a program that I have that's signed by Dr. Carter G. Woodson that was found in an abandoned house in Detroit about 15 years ago. But it was gifted to me and came into our collection then. But what makes this very significant and personal to me are the list of patrons that brought him to Detroit that are listed on the inside cover. And amongst those patrons are my grandparents, Cecil and Lawrence Milburn. And for me to be honored by ASALH in this 106th year of meeting is beyond words for me. So I would like to thank you all for this honor. I hope to meet you all in person sometime soon. So thank you and God bless.
Dr. Aisha Johnson is a revelator, she's an educator, and she's an advocate for untold stories through the use of archival sources. She has had a little over a decade of experience in archival spaces. She has an initiative titled Breeding Scholars, in which she brings high school and undergraduate college students to do archival research through a method that she calls emphasis through synthesis. Not only that, but she is the assistant professor and program director for the Master in Library Science program at North Carolina Central University, and her work has examined the African American literacy and philanthropic efforts of building public libraries in the South. And not only that, but she was lauded as the Distinguished Alumna in 2020 for Florida State University's College of Information and Communication. 2021 Freedom Scholar recipient, Dr. Aisha Johnson.
Hello, everyone. I hope all is well. I am Dr. Aisha Johnson. I am one of the recipients of the Freedom Scholar Awards from ASALH 2021. I wish to express my sincerest gratitude and appreciation for being recognized for the work that I do. Quite frankly, I'm just doing what it is that I love to do, and I'm so happy that the community has recognized the work we're doing to directly change lives, be lifelong learners. If I had any advice for you all, it would be do what it is that you love to do, and remember, be intentional about having an impact. Y'all stay safe.
Join me in congratulating the 2021 Freedom Scholar Award recipients. Thank you. I am Kamisha Scruggs, Executive Council Member, Class of 2022, as well as the Vice Chair of the Awards Committee, and I will be emceeing the latter half of this evening's program. As we have seen, we have recognized scholars, we recognize activists, and we continue to recognize the work of members of ASALH. The next award that we're going to present this evening is the Council Special Recognition Award. This award will be presented by our committee member, Dr. Anton House.
ASALH established the Award for Special Recognition to acknowledge the contributions of individuals, institutions, and corporations that make a substantial contribution to the success of ASALH in pursuing the mission of its founder, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. The award may vary and will include certificates, medals, trophies, and plaques. Nominees must demonstrate a history of support for activities and programs consistent with ASALH's mission, which may include support for annual events such as the annual meeting, the Black History Month luncheon, and the Carter G. Woodson birthday celebration, as well as support for special initiatives such as the General Campaign. The Council, at its discretion, may also designate individuals for special recognition who have made noteworthy accomplishments and contributions to the documentation, preservation, and accurate dissemination of the Black experience through teaching, service, research, scholarship, and publishing. Fred O. Smith Sr., a retired Georgia Department of Labor official, currently serves as Executive Director of the East Athens Department Corporation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting the uplift of impoverished individuals and families. Smith spent more than 30 years in state government, retiring in 2013 as District Director of the Georgia Department of Labor. His district was responsible for career and unemployment services to citizens in 27 Georgia counties. Prior, he was a regional representative in the Labor Department's Career Development Division in Atlanta, where he provided technical assistance and support to the state workforce areas. Previously, he worked for the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, where in 1993, he designed and coordinated DCA's Family Self-Sufficiency Program, a savings incentive program. FSS encouraged and supported economic independence by families receiving federal assistance. Under Smith's leadership, numerous low-income family members gained jobs or better jobs, furthered their education, and started escrow savings accounts.
I would like to express my appreciation to ASALH and the committee for this award. Having long followed the work of Dr. Carter G. Woodson and ASALH, I am more than elated to receive an award from the premier organization when it comes to African American life and history. I would like to thank my family, my wife Lee, my sons Joseph and Fred Jr. for their love and for supporting me in all my endeavors. As you know, promoting our history isn't always appreciated. For example, not everyone wants awareness brought to the mistreatment of enslaved people graves on a major college campus. Not everyone embraces the fact that African American institutions and contributions are just as significant as the contribution in the history of others. Not everyone wants the whole story told. In ASALH and others who do, I find inspiration. Because of this award, I am more determined than ever to keep doing what I do to promote an awareness or an appreciation for our history. Again, to ASALH and the committee for this award and for all you do, I say thank you.
Jarvis R. Givens is an assistant professor of education and African American Studies at Harvard University and the Suzanne Young Murray Assistant Professor at Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study. He specialized in the history of education, African American history, and theories of race and power in education. His first book, Fugitive Pedagogy, Carter G. Woodson and the Art of Black Teaching, was published in 2021 by Harvard University Press. He is currently building the Black Teacher Archive, an online portal that will house digitized records documenting the more than 100-year history of the Colored Teacher Association. Professor Given's research has been supported by fellowships and grants from the Ford Foundation, the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, and the William F. Milton Fund. Professor Givens earned his PhD in African American Studies from the University of California, Berkeley.
Good evening. I'm Jarvis Givens, and I'm an assistant professor of education in African and African American Studies at Harvard University. And I'm honored to have received ASALH's 2021 Council Award of Special Recognition. The association is my intellectual home, so it means a lot to have my work and service recognized by the leaders of this organization who I deeply respect. The work that I do for ASALH as a past executive council member and as an incoming executive council member is extremely fulfilling because I'm deeply aware of the role that this organization has played in creating the space for me to exist as a young scholar studying the history of African American education and studying the history of Black life and culture more broadly. So thank you to everyone who served on this year's awards committee, and thank you to the ASALH members for helping sustain such an important organization and furthering the study of Black life and history.
Oh no. Oh wow. Sorry about that. Once again, this evening, we will celebrate the Living Legacy Award scholars, which are scholars that we've seen in various places and that we admire, whether we've seen them from afar or whether we actually meet them at ASALH, the conference itself. So presenting tonight's category of the Living Legacy Award is our committee member, Dr. David Walton.
Greetings. My name is Dr. David Matthew Walton, known by many as Brother Kalanji. I am a class of 2023 Executive Council member of ASALH, and I am a member of the Awards Committee. Initiated in partnership with Farmers Insurance, the ASALH Living Legacy Award honors African American women and men across the country engaged in extraordinary work to improve communities, institutions, organizations, and family life. Past honorees include teachers, administrators, historians, academic writers, and trailblazers in such institutions as public, private, and non-traditional primary and secondary schools, institutions of higher learning, government, and community. Our first 2021 Living Legacy awardee is Dr. Elizabeth Clark Lewis. Dr. Clark Lewis is a professor of history and served as public history program director at Howard University. She completed her BA and MA at Howard University and holds a doctorate from the University of Maryland. She was awarded fellowships from the Smithsonian Institution and the Schumacher and Ford Foundations. Her academic appointments include Banneker Professor at George Washington University, Visiting Professor at Penn State University, and Professor at Northern Virginia Community College. Dr. Clark Lewis has served on the executive boards of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, Organization of American Historians, National Council on Public History, African American Experience Fund, and Landmarks Committee for the National Park Service, and as the National Director of the Association of Black Women Historians. A founder of the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Association, Dr. Clark Lewis has authored or co-authored 8 books and co-produced Freedom Bags, a PBS documentary recently featured at the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival. Congratulations, Dr. Clark Lewis. You are certainly a living legend, and you certainly have contributed a living legacy to ASALH.
I thank the Association for the Study of African American Life and History for selecting me for a Living Legend Award. I must thank my parents, Edward and Jean Clark, for encouraging my study of what they called Negro history. My siblings, William, Carol, and Robert, and especially Edward and Catherine, have always supported all of my research endeavors. I must also add thanks to the late Dr. Dorothy Porter Wesley for hiring me as an intern at the Moreland Spingarn Research Center and introducing me to the late Dr. Lorraine Anderson Williams and Dr. Olive Taylor, 2 individuals who became my mentors throughout my life. I must thank my colleagues, especially Dr. Emery Tolbert, my former chair, and Dr. Nikki Taylor, my current chair, for their unwavering support. I have learned from every student I have taught, but I especially thank my graduate students at Howard University for all that they've taught me. The late Dr. Harold Pinkett, an archivist, Mr. Robert Stanton, the retired director of the National Park Service, Dr. Spencer Crew, formerly of the National Museum of American History and now George Mason University as a professor, and Mr. Lonnie Bunch, the secretary of the Smithsonian, are public history icons who developed in me all the best attributes of a public historian. I thank them each for their continued support of all that I do. I must thank Mrs. Ruth Hodge and Dr. Betty Gardner, 2 tireless supporters of ASALH, who are always inspiring me to continue to support the organization. My daughter, Dr. Abner Lewis Moon, encourages me to think of new ways to understand and write African American history. My grandchildren, Amari Moon and Amira Moon, are great inspirations for my future ideas about history. My husband of over 50 years, Lawrence Lewis, has given me unwavering support and has helped me complete each and every task I faced. I would like to end by quoting Dr. Woodson. If I might paraphrase him, Dr. Woodson has said, "We are all better because we research, we teach, and we respect African American history." Thank you again for this award.
Another of our 2021 Living Legacy awardees is Dr. Kenneth Hamilton. Dr. Kenneth Hamilton has been a mentor to many historians and to many young members of ASALH throughout multiple decades, particularly African American male grad students and junior scholars, such as myself. Dr. Hamilton is a native of Wichita, Kansas. He earned an MA in history from Kansas State University and a PhD in history from Washington University in St. Louis. After graduating from college, Professor Hamilton taught for 2 years in the Topeka, Kansas public schools. He has also taught at Washburn University, Kansas State University, Forest Park Community College in St. Louis, and Washington University, and worked as Washington University's Director of Graduate Student Recruitment. For 12 years, Dr. Hamilton taught in the Black Studies and History departments at The Ohio State University. During the past 31 years, he has taught at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, where he is currently professor and director of ethnic studies. He has published the books Black Towns and Profit and Booker T. Washington in American Memory. Dr. Hamilton has been affiliated with ASALH for over 40 years. You are truly a living legend, and your legacy in ASALH lives on. Thank you for all your contributions, and congratulations on your Living Legacy Award from ASALH.
Greetings from Dallas, Texas. I want to thank
the members of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History for presenting me with this most impressive award. I'm very humble and very grateful. Hope to see you next year in person. Enjoy the remaining part of this conference.
Once again, scholars that we've all admired. I know personally I have admired Dr. Clark Lewis from afar, even though I didn't do the Howard Public History program, but I've definitely admired her work and it has definitely influenced my work as an up-and-coming scholar. Our next category is the Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award. Former president of ASALH and the individuals that are being recognized in this category have definitely done the work of Mary Mccloud Bethune. Presenting this category is former recipient Brenda Simmons Hutchins.
My name is Dr. Brenda Simmons Hutchins, and it is my pleasure to present the Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award. This award was established in tribute to Dr. Mary Mccloud Bethune because of her dynamic leadership and her years of contributing to education, women's history, and African American life and culture. Dr. Bethune served as the first woman president of ASALH from 1936 to 1951 and is one of the most outstanding women role models in our history. The award recipient must be a member of ASALH who has been an active supporter and contributor to ASALH's work for more than 10 years. The individual's significant contribution must have been in at least one or some of the following areas: branch work, service on the Executive Council, fundraising work on the Black History Month theme material, education, and the Woodson House campaign. Finally, the recipient will be one whose career has highlighted service to education, African American history, and the community. All these attributes symbolize the life of Dr. Mary Mccloud Bethune. And now I present the 2021 award recipients. The first recipient of the Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award is Dr. Lopez D Matthews. Dr. Matthews has been an outstanding member of ASALH for almost 2 decades. He has dedicated his life and career to the preservation and uplift of African American life and culture. He has enthusiastically worked to support the work of ASALH. Throughout his membership, he has served on the Executive Council, worked on Black History Month theme materials, and worked on the Woodson House campaign. Additionally, he has served as the chair of the Publications Committee and co-chair of the Marketing and Public Relations Committee. Last year, during the pandemic, Dr. Matthews organized and produced a series of interviews with historians, archivists, and curators to promote ASALH and build an audience for the ASALH YouTube channel. The interviews generated thousands of views and hundreds of new subscribers. Additionally, Dr. Matthews, along with the Marketing and Public Relations Committee, produced the first annual month-long Black History Month virtual festival. His ability to produce digital content and platforms for ASALH is matched by his work for other organizations like Howard University. In the spirit of both Dr. Woodson and Dr. Bethune, Dr. Matthews works at 3 HBCUs, working to educate the next generation of scholars, steering them towards the work of ASALH. His work as the manager of the Digital Production Center at Howard University has increased researcher visitation in more than 200 countries across the globe. As an adjunct at Coppin State University and Bowie State University in Maryland, Dr. Matthews encourages his students to participate in ASALH activities and join the organization. He speaks out in academic and public spaces about African American history, life, and culture. Some websites of note which highlight some of the outstanding work of Dr. Matthews include Howard University Digital Repository, Racial Healing and Transformation Movement Senior Advisor, NBC Washington Inauguration Commentary, Harvard University Archival Conference 2018, a more complete record. Dr. Matthews does not hesitate to do the work of the organization. His passion and dedication serve as an example for us all. May I present again Dr. Lopez D Matthews, recipient of the Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award 2021.
Hello, everyone. I would like to thank you all for being one of the recipients of this year's Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award. It has been a pleasure to serve ASALH over the last 20 years, from undergrad through grad school, and now as a professional in the field. Thank you so much for recognizing me, and thank you so much for allowing me to support the legacy of Carter G. Woodson and of Mary Mccloud Bethune. Thank you.
The next recipient of the Dr. Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award is Dr. Sheila Fleming Hunter. Dr. Fleming Hunter is a PhD in African and African American history, and she is the founder and president of the Black Rose Foundation for Children. The mission of the foundation is to provide resources to organizations working to empower children through programs, services, and advocacy. She is also serving as associate editor of Phylon, the Clark Atlanta University Review of Race and Culture at Clark Atlanta University. She served as a professor at several universities, including Bethune-Cookman University, her alma mater, and the University of Maryland. Dr. Fleming Hunter has spent most of her career in the academy as an historian, dean, and vice president. She is the author of Bethune-Cookman College, 1904 to 1994, The Answered Prayer of a Dream. And she has contributed articles on African and African American women, Nelson Mandela, Mary Mccloud Bethune, and Black women's health to several publications. She and her daughters authored 2 children's books and recently penned an article on love lessons for Black girls. She is the archivist for the African Heritage Studies Association and a former national president of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. May I present Dr. Sheila Fleming Hunter, recipient of the Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award 2021.
I'd like to thank Dr. Brenda Simmons Hutchins, Ms. Sylvia Saras, the Awards Committee and the ASALH Executive Committee for their roles in giving me this honor. There are two statues that represent each state in the U.S. Capitol Statuary Hall. The state of Florida, my birth state, decided in 2018 that Dr. Mary Mccloud Bethune would replace a Confederate general. A beautiful marble statue of Dr. Bethune was sculpted by Neil DeComos in Italy using marble from the Michelangelo caves. Bethune is the first African-American woman to be placed there. The statue will be placed in Statuary Hall in 2022. I'm sure all of you agree that this action honors her past contributions to our country and world. But Bethune is still speaking to us. A statue of Bethune on Capitol Hill reminds us of her work and words on voting rights, her civil rights activities against racism, lynching, and sexism. Bethune left a legacy of racial pride, education, and the oneness of humanity. I'm honored to accept the ASALH Dr. Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award. Because of her greatness, she continues to inspire and motivate me, ASALH, members, and so many, many more who understand we stand on her spiritual shoulders. Placement of her likeness in the middle of the highest policy-making entity in America should motivate us to carry on with her work until America becomes the true democracy that she hoped for. Thank you.
The next recipient of the Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award is Mrs. Bessie May Jackson, a lifelong educator. She is a life member of ASALH and also served as the National Secretary. She is the New York State Director and former President of the Bronx branch of ASALH. Mrs. Jackson was born near Selma, Alabama in 1926 and is the fifth of 11 children. She worked on the family-owned and operated farm and attended a one-room schoolhouse, which is now on the Alabama Historic Registry. Mrs. Jackson moved to New York and received both her BS degree and master's degrees from Columbia University Teachers College. While in college, she founded the New York City Daycare Workers Union Local 1707. Upon graduation, she joined the New York City Board of Education as a first grade teacher. Mrs. Jackson retired in 1988 but never really stopped working. She took on the roles of activist, founder of the African American History and Culture Center in the Bronx, host of Smiling Through Tears talk show about racial injustice. She's a playwright, poet, advocate, and dynamic grandmother and great-grandmother. In 2020, at the age of 94, after 16 years of advocacy, Mrs. Jackson was successful in enacting the Abolition Commemoration Day to honor the sacrifices of African Americans and all who fought to end slavery in New York State. Presenting Mrs. Bessie May Jackson, a 2021 recipient of the Mary Mccloud Bethune Service Award.
To our President, Dr. Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham, to all the members of the ASALH National Board, to the Awards Committee, and to all who have taken the time and made all the sacrifices necessary in order to be here in support of this grand occasion, I thank you sincerely for your presence. I take pleasure in congratulating all the other recipients who are being granted awards at this time for the good work they are doing. I accept this cherished Mary Mcleod Bethune Award respectfully in memory of the life and legacy of Dr. Bethune. She and many others of my ancestors gave me strong shoulders to stand on. They taught me that time is too precious to waste. They taught me to feel a sense of responsibility for myself, my family, and for the welfare of my community. They taught me that if I see a job that needs to be done and no one else is doing it, it must be my job. They taught me the dignity of work. And I appreciate all they have taught me. I have tried to live up to their expectations, and I will continue trying to live up to their expectations. Thank you very much.
Once again, these recipients have done amazing work to continue the legacy of service that Dr. Mccloud Bethune has instilled in the organization and all the other organizations that she definitely had an impact and a reach on. And this brings us to our last award of the evening, which is the Carter G. Woodson Scholars Medallion, which recognizes scholarship that's indeed been groundbreaking, as Dr. Woodson's work has been to all of us. And presenting the recipients of the medallion is the chair of our awards committee, Dr. Edna Green Medford.
It's an honor to present this year's recipients of the Carter Godwin Woodson Scholars Medallion. Established nearly 3 decades ago, the award has been given to some of the most esteemed students of African American history and culture. Its criteria stipulates that it be presented to a scholar whose career is distinguished through at least a decade of research, writing, and activism that expose and eliminate the deficiencies, misinterpretations, and distortions in history that Dr. Woodson devoted his life to correcting. This year, we are pleased to present 3 recipients whose range and depth of work continue Dr. Woodson's legacy. The Association for the Study of African American Life and History is pleased to honor them this evening. Our first recipient of the Woodson Scholars Medallion is a woman who has devoted her life to ensuring that Black youth have the foundation for academic success. For over 3 decades, Dr. Geneva Gay, Professor Emerita of the University of Washington, Seattle, has promoted culturally responsive teaching as a way to ensure that educators are sensitive to the cultural backgrounds of their students. Her work rests on the idea that students learn more easily when instruction is grounded within their lived experiences and frames of reference. Her book, Culturally Responsive Teaching, Theory, Research, and Practice, has been recognized as an important guide to assisting educators of ethnically diverse students. To quote her nominators, her educational research, publications, and her activism have enabled her to confront the vestiges of enslavement and its enduring impact on African American lives. She has built a solid framework for use in disrupting misinterpretations, distortions, and the omissions of African American history, while working to ensure that Black students are not miseducated, mistreated, or misidentified for special education. Dr. Gay, in awarding you the Woodson Medallion, we acknowledge your dedication to continuing Dr. Woodson's great work and to enhancing the learning experience of all students. Thank you and congratulations.
I want to thank Sala for honoring me with the Carter G. Woodson Medallion. Needless to say, or maybe it is worth saying, I was surprised to be so honored, but very pleased. Part of the surprise and the pleasure comes to me because for me, I never know how my work is being perceived or distributed beyond my own framework. So it's good to know that somebody out there is reading the work that I do and finding it worthy of applause, if you will. In addition to just the honor of the award itself, I'm excited about and being included in the community with Carter G. Woodson. I probably, if I were doing it myself, I probably wouldn't have done it because he is such a big image and name in my life and in not just in my personal life, but in my professional life. But that adds to the honor, as far as I'm concerned, to feel that my work is worthy of being associated with such a stellar scholar as Woodson was. And the thing that excites me about, many things excite me about his work, that I hope my work is a similarity to it, is that the emphasis that he placed on the psychological well-being of students almost as a prelude to academic performance. And I find myself doing that. I don't think that I did it because I studied him and then followed his example, but it was almost a happenstance. And the kindredness of his focus in his work and the focus in my work, even though we come from somewhat different backgrounds, with him being a historian and a philosopher and me being a professional educator. But again, all of those kinds of things says to me is that, again, I want to thank ASALH for bringing this kindredness together in the form of presenting this award to me. So again, thank you so very much. And I hope that I will honor it as well as I have been honored by it.
Respected scholar, public intellectual, activist are words that best describe our next recipient. Dr. Derek Ulrich, a professor of the Curry School of Education and Human Development and affiliate faculty in the Carter G. Woodson Institute of African American and African Studies at the University of Virginia, has devoted his career to pursuing Dr. Woodson's mission to ensure a firm foundation for the continuance of African-centered education. His dedication and commitment to the study of African American history and culture has taken the form of scholarship that focuses on the seminal role of educators in the civil rights movement, the influence of hip hop on African American culture, and Black intellectual history. He is the author of The Educational Thought of W.E.B. Du Bois, an Intellectual History, and co-editor of Message in the Music, Hip Hop, History, and Pedagogy. He has provided stellar leadership and service in his roles as executive director of the University of Virginia, Charlottesville Freedom School, director of teachers in the Movement Oral History Project, co-chair of the Virginia Commission on African American History Education in the Commonwealth, and as founding director of the Center for the Study of Race and Public Education in the South. He is currently also serving as associate author, editor of the Journal of African American History. Dr. Allridge, ASALH is pleased to honor you this evening. Congratulations.
Greetings, my name is Derek Ulrich, and I am one of the recipients of the Carter G. Woodson Medallion. Allow me to say that I was very surprised to learn that I was one of the recipients, but I was very honored. And I was honored for several reasons. One, Carter G. Woodson had a major influence on my life, not only as a historian, but also as an educator. His book, The Education of the Negro Prior to 1861, was a Bible of sorts for me. I referred to it often during my work as a graduate student, but also I continue to refer to it as a historian who studies the education of Black people. I've always been very impressed with Woodson, but also his association for its outreach to graduate students and also young professors. And I think it would be fair to say that the association has played a very important role in my intellectual development as both a scholar, a historian, and an educator. So thank you again for bestowing upon me this very prestigious award. Thank you, ASALH, for all you do, and have a great day.
Through her important scholarship in women's history and her leadership and service at the national level to organizations devoted to the study of African American history and culture, our final Woodson Scholars Medallion awardee has contributed immeasurably to Dr. Woodson's legacy. Dr. Erica Armstrong Dunbar, the Charles and Mary Beard Distinguished Professor of History at Rutgers University, has broadened our understanding of late 18th and early 19th century African American history in general, and Black women's history in particular. Her highly acclaimed work, Never Caught: The Washington's Relentless Pursuit of Their Runaway Slave, Ona Judge, received numerous awards, including the prestigious Frederick Douglass Book Prize in 2018. Recognizing that our history must be accessible to all ages, she published a young reader's edition of Never Caught the following year. Her most recent publication is titled She Came to Slay, a work that chronicles the life of the indomitable Harriet Tubman. As director of the African American History Program at the Library Company of Philadelphia, Dr. Dunbar oversaw events that provided opportunities for both the general public and scholars to engage African American history. And as the national director of the Association of Black Women Historians, she has guided its collaborations with other national associations to promote the study of African American women's history and has supported its encouragement of excellence in scholarship. Her nominator referred to her as a highly influential figure in African American women's history and an asset to the work of ASALH. We wholeheartedly concur. On behalf of ASALH, thank you, Dr. Dunbar, for your stellar work, and congratulations.
I'd like to offer my deepest appreciation to the Association for the Study of African American Life and History for this wonderful recognition. The Carter G. Woodson Scholars Medallion is a marker, a symbol of that is both an honor, but also quite humbling. And I'd like to thank ASALH first for this award, but also for being a home for scholars such as myself. Many of us look forward to the annual either get together in person or in Zoom. It's a family, and it's a reminder that the work that we do as scholars, as teachers, as writers, is a project that is appreciated by and continued on by so many people, not simply across the nation, but across the world. And I'm deeply honored to receive this award. This is also a moment where I have to think about all of those who came before me that made my work possible. women in particular who laid the cornerstone for the field of African American women's history. Scholars who created a space for people like me to get to read, write, teach, and think about Black life every day. I am a fortunate woman, a fortunate scholar, and this honor is one that I don't take lightly. So I will actually thank ASALH, but also dedicate this award, this recognition, to all of the scholars who've come before me, who've centered the lives of Black women, and to all of the ones who are in the pipeline and who are still working on becoming a scholar, that we still have great work to do and great opportunity. And I'd like to thank ASALH for this recognition. Thank you.
Once again, scholars that I have admired, that I've read, that a lot of us have definitely learned from, continue to learn from. They definitely do the work of Carter G. Woodson and the organization. And we've done that. Tonight we've celebrated scholars, activists, and preservationists that have dedicated themselves and their work to Carter G. Woodson's mission for ASALH. These groups and these individuals highlight the excellence in scholarship and demonstrate through their service and their profound impact on the lives of African Americans, and also ensure that future generations will carry on the knowledge of the ancestors. Before we close, I just wanted to thank a few individuals. I would like to thank our outgoing president, Dr. Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham, the executive council of ASALH, my co-laborers, the awards committee, and most importantly, executive director Sylvia Cyrus and the ASALH office for all of their support and all of their guidance for making sure that this event has indeed come into fruition. Tonight, or in the future, send messages, find these individuals on social media, and extend your congratulations, as they have definitely been examples of the amazing work of ASALH. My name is Kamisha Scruggs. Have a good evening and hope to see you next year in person. Good night.